Behind the Middle Belt killings is Caliphate ethnic cleansing. Behind Niger Delta agitation is Caliphate seizure of oil and gas. Behind Biafra and Odua agitation, Caliphate imposed unitary Nigeria. Behind the Caliphate itself is the rogue 1999 Constitution. Elections 2023 is Caliphate's push to retain the 1999 fraud. Nigerians, say no to any further election in the country. Let's take down the 1999 Constitution and save our people and our land.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's joint NINA's Clubhouse session. Today's topic is legislative mandate does not include constitution making. We'll be listening to a 5-minute NINA's question and answer section with the Daughters of Truth and the NINA spokesperson, Mr. Nnadi, entitled Mandate of National Assembly doesn't include constitution making, limited to law making. Thank you for listening.
So, going by the contents of the report you just presented to us, please can you share with the public NINA's reading of the response of the government in Nigeria to the propositions of the NINA's, especially against the backdrop of the outcome of the 2023 general election, which NINA's vigorously campaigned against for the purpose of first undertaking the constitutional re-engineering of Nigeria.
Very quickly, the government is looking for happy and way. All those things we say we reject, those things we answered in question 4. They are looking towards the National Assembly as where it must happen. NINA say National Assembly has no business with what we are talking about. Our sovereignty is not the business of National Assembly to undertake. Their mandate is limited to lawmaking and not constitution making. Any lawyer that doesn't know that probably is not a do well in the student's exams. And it's a compulsory course. So I could actually say such lawyers are illiterate on the subject matter. It doesn't matter whether they were professors of law or they were senior advocates. And so the question of government wanting to take the business to National Assembly so that they can control the outcome. The sovereignty of the people will remain detained. Any process that will go to National Assembly, whether they adopt the 2014 conference or they say let's go to 1963 or they do the one on the Sabbath is asking them to go and write another constitution and use one of the sections to smuggle it in, remove the one that was there, bring another whole constitution without reference to the people. So any of all those options, totally unacceptable, will not solve the problem. But that's what the government have been struggling to do. You saw when on the day the Supreme Court was going to make that pronouncement, they brought the South and Middle Belt Leadership Forum that now began to write letters to President to say, let us now go to National Assembly and amend Constitution. The 3 candidates, the leading candidates in the last election, their manifestos all pointed to the National Assembly, Peter Obi, Bola Tinubu, and Atiku Abubakar. Their manifestos of PDP and APC and Labour Party pointed in writing to the National Assembly as where they go to amend the Constitution. And so the government is trying to see whether any of those shenanigans will work. After we shut down the South and Middle Belt Leadership Forum, they went to the one that said, oh, let's go to 1963. We shut it down by one broadcast. You remember whatever. They went again to the one that said, let's go to 2014 conference. In one broadcast, we explained why we couldn't touch it. Then they went to the Bar Association. The Nigerian Bar Association put out some invitation 2 weeks or 3 ago to say, let all the lawyers in Nigeria come and bring the explanation for what we think, so that National Assembly can go and do it. Again, we didn't even have to respond to them because people now know that National Assembly is not the one to read for them. So that one collapsed on their head. It was in the desperation of having lost out in all the options that they now called the Sabbath to come to tell them what to do that will not require any kind of talking to anybody. So National Assembly will lock their door go to section 4 and change something that opens the avenue for them to write another constitution, which Mr. Bokaba has told us in public that they have written. Falana has written one. They are going to me and go say they wrote. So they are thinking that they can write constitution, take it to National Assembly, and smuggle it in to say, oh, they are changed constitution. So that is not a matter of writing another constitution. It's a matter of inviting the owners of the sovereignty to discuss whether they want to be a union or not. And we say it is a two-stage procedure that guarantees the outcome that protects everybody's sovereignty. Anything short of that, your sovereignty is gone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. I'd like to invite Mr. Onyago to take the synopsis of the topic.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome all to today's Clubhouse session. The topic before us today is legislative mandate of the National Assembly does not include constitution making. The legislative mandate of the National Assembly does not include constitution making. I can categorically state that 95 to 98% of Nigerians have erroneously believed that the National Assembly are the ones who are started with the responsibility and the mandate to make a new constitution for us, to make a constitution for us. But the Venus has come once more to correct that wrong notion, to correct that error with the truth. Venus is stated that National Assembly does not have that responsibility, that mandate. The mandate only resides exclusively, wholly, and exclusively with the peoples of Nigeria. The ethnic nationalities of Nigeria. Who will come together under a procedure? There is a procedure by which the constitution is made. And so the winners has also laid out a 5-point proposition by which a constitution, a people's constitution, should be made. It is not the place of the National Assembly to make the constitution, it is not the place of the military to make the constitution. And that is why the 1999 Colonial Constitution is illegitimate. Even the Constitution, this 1999 Constitution acknowledges this truth. It acknowledges it in the preamble. You read the preamble, you see, it says, we the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, having solemnly and solemnly resolved to live in unity and in harmony as one indivisible sovereign nation under God. Go to the last paragraph of that preamble, you see, it says that do hereby make, talking about the people. It didn't say the military. It didn't say the National Assembly. It said the people. Do it hereby what? Make, enact, and give to ourselves the following constitution. This is the preamble of the 1999 Constitution that acknowledges this. We don't need any other proof as well. If we are doubt, you go to section 14, subsection 2A of the same Federal 1999 Constitution. It says that sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom the government, the people from whom the government, through this constitution that the people made now, derives all its powers, not some, all its powers, what? And authority. Is this not clear enough? Okay. I know the spokesperson will do justice to this topic, but we also now understand that sovereignty belongs to the people. And the constitution is not a piece of paper, a piece of document, or a law that National Assembly will go together in the House of Assembly, National House of Assembly, and they need to talk among themselves by saying that okay, those in agreement say aye, and those in disagreement say nay, the ayes have it. That is not how the constitution is made. There is a procedure. And Minas has laid that procedure down in this 5-point proposition. So to be rolled over at the Nigerians of large, we may not like winners, we may not want to acknowledge what winners is saying, but you cannot deny the truth in their exposition. You cannot deny the fact in their exposition that what winners has done and presented before us. So it's not personal. Yeah. Yes, we are all working towards the preservation of our people, dignity, and right to life. And so let us not put our sentiments aside and come with a clear head and take a look at what winners has presented before us. Learn them so we can, begin to take the right steps, the right action towards resolving this constitutional long term. Thank you, and I leave the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Onige, for that detailed synopsis. At this point, I'd like to invite the NINA spokesperson to shed more light onto this topic. Legislative mandate does not include constitution making. Mr. Nadi, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Like you heard in the synopsis and the short clip of a video that was played before the synopsis, I'm sure many of us are watching very closely all of the commotion going on around the Constitution in Abuja at the moment. First, it was one fellow called Akin Fapohunda, who sometime in 2018, was secretary of an organization that came to interface with what we were doing, because what we're doing is a long-drawn process because of the depth and the width of the problem we're trying to solve. It is the amalgamation of 1914 that got reinforced in 1979 and again reincarnating in 1999. And so we're talking about 110 years of amalgamation of 1914 reinforced by the amalgamation of 1999. And so what has happened to Nigeria, for which everybody everywhere is crying, slaughtered, or the Ijaw that had lost its oil and gas to the rogue entity that Nigeria has become under that amalgamation of 1999, or the Yoruba that have been put in reverse gear since the collapse of the federal arrangement, or the Igbo that had not only been put in disarray, their territories occupied, genocide had been launched against them, executed against them, still sustained against them, even as we speak. Everywhere is upside down. Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world. Corruption is dancing on the street majestically. The beneficiaries and perpetrators of corruption are comprehensively beyond the reach of the owners of the assets that are being frittered away. All because of that constitution. Whether it is the killings or the expropriation or the corruption we see or the impunity that follows it, everything, the electricity you don't have, the petroleum products that will never be there, everything is flowing from that constitution. And we have for many years been showing the specific provisions, the agitations in the land, all of the agitations. Some of them armed agitation. What is the quarrel? What is the problem? It is the constitutional arrangement of Nigeria, the unitary, unworkable unitary constitutional arrangement of Nigeria that is behind everything. And so, the redemption that everybody seeks, Whether it is the Ijaw that now want, the Niger Delta that now wants control of their resources, or the Middle Belt that must find a way to get to guns to push out the ethnic cleansing of the Fulani that's ongoing, mostly in their midst, even as we know that Fulani targets the rest of the country. All of these things revolve around the question, what is Nigeria? Because people are in our spaces causing havoc. Dangote is there doing his own. Intel is in Port Harcourt doing his own. Soldiers are in Aba doing their rampage, and Delta. What is the problem? It is the Nigeria that is not our project. Nigeria, the monster that is occupying our lands. In the name of a federation that died since 1966. Yes, by accident of colonial, the conquest, I'll call it. We became one political union in 1914, just by British fiat. We carried on. By the time the British were leaving, they managed to set up some kind of meeting to say, okay, gentlemen, what do you do? Those who had to go to those meetings at that time, however they emerged, at least agreed that they could carry on, but as a federation of 3 regions, 3 largely autonomous regions that had their constitutions, that had ownership and control of their economic assets, that will contribute 15% of their revenue to finance the operations of the union office they set up. That was the federal government of the time. To fund the limited number of responsibilities they had delegated to that central government. So the federal government of the Nigeria of the time was a creation of the federating regions, just like the European Union of Germany and France and Portugal creating a European Union office, mandating it to run, set up some kind of common currency, some kind of common telecommunications, and a few other items. That was the kind of thing, that Nigeria was agreed to be, a federation and a secular union. And then suddenly, just 6 years into the arrangement, everything went upside down because of incomplete decolonization that the British deliberately did. They left the minorities of the north, of the east, and of the west in the belly of the majorities of the time, when they could very easily have sorted everything out at the time. But they wanted something that would keep the union unmanageable for those they were going to lock, they already locked down into the union. And so when we talk about constitution, many people are still thinking about that booklet that is painted green, white, green. Far from it. Constitution is simply what it says, to constitute. On what arrangement did the Yoruba land that could be a country of 60 million people become part of a Nigeria? On what arrangement did the Igbo that could be a country of their own, the Ijaw that could be a country of their own, the Chief that could be a country of their own, on what arrangements did they submit their lands and their peoples into the Union of Nigeria? You go to 1914, you see that there was no arrangement other than British fiat that was built on deceit, trading treaties that became protection treaties, in which semi-literate kings of the time signed off their sovereignty without knowing. They thought they were signing trading agreement and all kinds of beneficial protection from the people that came to say, oh, we will shield you from other invaders. So they took those treaties into by 1914. They just aggregated those pieces of territories, and consolidated it to become, they created a country out of those parchments of treaties without any reference to the owners of the sovereignties, because they had hoodwinked those ones, they had swindled those ones of their lands at the time those treaties were signed, which the kings did not understand the contents. So Nigeria was born in that greed of the British. Nigeria was conceived in that greed of the British, born in that deceit, and nurtured in the violence that it required to keep it going. So that's how falsehood, deceit, violence got into the DNA of your country. In the discussion they went to have in Lancaster House, they left things halfway, left all the guns in the room in the hands of their favorite, their nominees, the caliphate. So that one region was stronger than all the others put together. They allotted more parliamentary seats to them, even in the face of the fact that the census they took in 1951 showed that that north had only 17% of the country's population. 17, as in 17, as big as it was. The British allotted 55% of the parliamentary seats using land mass. Is it human being that will be meeting to govern themselves, or the land that will govern itself? So that unworkable arrangement was designed to be so. How do you allot 55% of the parliamentary seats to 17% of the country's people, the population? But that was what they did. And in that 55%, in the southern part, there was the eastern region, there was the western region. By 1963, the Midwestern region was carved out of the West. So there were 3 regions and the Federal Capital Territory, because Nigeria was headquartered in Lagos at the time. And so you had 4 administrations collapsed into what was left from that 55. So that no matter how anybody does, no matter how much they cooperate in the South, the East bringing everything it has with the West and the Midwest and the Federal Capital Territory Lagos, all of them cooperating 100%, which is not possible, will still come down to so the North was given a veto. That is what we are still living with, because from that 4 regions, when they toppled that constitution that made us a federation, that union office took over everything from everybody, and it was Murtala Mohammed. Of course, they had to put the willing tool they call Gowon in front. Gowon doesn't know the head and tail of anything that was done in those 9 years he was head of state. He went to school only after 1975 overthrow. He governed Nigeria with this kind of school certificate that what's his name, the fellow from Katsina, the headsman in chief, Muhammad Buhari, if anybody can remember him. And so we are talking about the union arrangements. The union, what is supposed to be union agreements, yes, in Lancaster House, it could be called union agreement. But it became unilateral since after July of 66, when Murtala Mohammed and his co-travelers toppled everything, and then Gowon, their ringleader, their foreman, I'll call him, Gowon the foreman, did their bidding in May of 1967 to fracture the 4 regions into 12 states, took over all the economic assets and the powers of the regions that were federated. And then that union office became the owner of everything and everybody. But that North was alone in that thing. Of course, at every point in time, there will be flawed characters it could hire. What are we discussing today? Whose responsibility, whose prerogative, whose exclusive right is it to work out those union agreements? Of course, it doesn't require, a PhD to know that it is the units. We're talking about, because the union is all about lands and peoples. Yoruba land, populated by Yoruba people, that will go into political union with Ijo land, populated by Ijo people, Benin land, populated by Benin people, Tiv land, populated by Benin people, by Tiv people, Berom land, populated by Berom people, Urobo land populated by Yoruba people, you could say this for every Igala land, Jukun land, Hausa land, Ogoni land, Efik land, Isoko land. You could go on into 300 and something language groups in Nigeria. Each of them has a known territory that begins somewhere and ends somewhere, undisputed, occupied by a known ethnic nation of people. The only one that do not have, does anybody know where Fulani land is? Then why are they the ones in charge of everything? They are the second robbery gang that went into joint venture with Britain. They came in a jihad from the Futajalon mountain area, coming in from the territory we know as Sokoto today in 1804. 50-60 years after the British got in from the Atlantic waterfront, two robbery gangs, they formed a joint venture from the conquest and deceit they had done. The Fulani also used deceit in the north. They told them that their kings were corrupt and that their version of Sharia, their version of Islam was inferior. And so the same, you can see what connects this British and the Fulani, many things. They lie, they cheat, they deceive, they resort to violence to enforce their view. That's how the territories that Uthman Danfodio and co gathered in the north got, consolidated with the ones that Britain and Lugard, their front man, gathered from the south, and it became 1914 with no discussion with anybody. And then all of what the discussions were, took place got toppled by the middle of the 66, and then that caliphate to whom that British sponsor had handed over everything, even from Lancaster House, because they left the guns in the hands of that north that is minority in real sense, bringing nothing to the treasury in terms of what other people can share from. Even at the point of amalgamation, it was because they couldn't finance their own operations. The colonial adventurers could not finance their operations out there, having formed an administration in the place. They had to supplement, they had to augment from what they got from the south. And you remember the telegram of Harcourt of 1913 that described the south as the southern lady of Minsk that was now to be betrothed to the well-behaved north. So these two robbery gangs formed this terrible union, oil and water that will never mix, and locked us down for this length of time. All attempts to make it our own project in terms of we discussing, the last attempt to discuss any meaningfully was the Aburi of when they had toppled the arrangements in middle of 66. Things broke down. They slaughtered the Igbo to their satisfaction. This same hatred that is still, bleeding Nigeria today had been there. I'm sure some of you saw one of the videos that went viral where somebody was recounting for them, somebody from, I don't think it's Igbo, recounting for them how many times they have, in that hatred, agreed to go and kill the Igbo. And what is the Igbo offense? Igbo believed in the union. Others did not believe. Igbo was ready to stay anywhere and work, to build that country. Others never had the courage to. It was just, what do we do to prevent them? What do we do to prevent them? And we're in one construction site. And so the discussion now is that union agreement that was toppled in the middle of 66 and progressively replaced by the fiat of the caliphate. I want you to get the storyline clear so that you can understand what the discussion is when they're talking about constitution and who will make constitution. We're talking about union and union agreement and the terms of the union. In that order, union agreement and terms of union. I'll take it the third time. Talking about the constitution, we're talking about three things. Union, that is whether we're in any union at all, like marriage, because that was how it was described in 1913. union agreement and arrangement, then the codification, that is the one that becomes constitution. If you want to understand what constitution should be discussing, what constitution is all about, going by what I've explained so far, go to the preamble of the fraud we have on the table. You will immediately see three things that were claimed. It says, we the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is, we the Yoruba in Yoruba land, we the Ijo in Ijo land, we the Ogoni in Ogoni land, and so on and so forth. It continues to say, having firmly and solemnly resolved to live in unity as indivisible and indissoluble nation, one indivisible and indissoluble nation. Again, it is saying that the Yoruba, the Ijo, the Igbo, the Anang, the Efik, the Tiv, having considered all options, solemnly and firmly resolved to live in unity forever as indissoluble. That's another false claim in that preamble. Then it comes down to say, do hereby make and give unto ourselves the following constitution. Those three things I just listed are the things that you call constitution. The fact of identifying, we the people of Federal Republic of, identifying who is federating. That's the first order of business. You must identify, because you are now talking about lands and peoples that will aggregate by themselves into a union. We the peoples of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we the Anam, sitting with Ijo and Ogoni and Yoruba, we the Efik, sitting with Tiv, Berom, and Urobo. We the Yoruba, sitting with Isoko, Ogoni, and others. That is what that we the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria means. It does not, it means nothing else. Anybody that tells you it means another thing, because it will look to some like we the people. Anywhere you see a group of people who have Igbo name and Yoruba name and Tiv name, they become the we the people. Whether they gather at the Supreme Military Council or they gather in some stupid parliament in Abuja, they become we the people for that purpose of making union agreement. Can you see now that any attempt to bypass the owners of the sovereignties that could be countries of their own is already a swindling of their sovereignty, their land, and everything that belongs to them? That was what the British did in 1914. That's what Nigeria has done since Murtala Mohammed and others resumed. They stepped into the shoes of the British. I'm sure some of you saw the 3 minutes clip where Murtala Mohammed was inaugurating the Ben Wabeza and Rotimi Williams committee drafting committee in 1975. He was clear in saying that it was what the British were doing to govern Nigeria that they were setting up to resume. And it was that caliphate that was given the control of the guns that took over everybody in middle of 66 that now codified all of what they had gathered by 1975 at the instruction of Murtala Mohammed. Unfortunately, is our own brethren, Chief Rotimi Williams and Professor Ben Wabeze, at the time that got paid to draft for them what became constitution from their brigandage of killing almost 5 million people by Gowon's account. Gowon said they had to kill 5 million people to keep Nigeria together. One Nigeria, unitary Nigeria, caliphate Nigeria, they all mean the same. And so those three items of identifying who we the people are, if you don't carry that identification to land and people, definite, everything you are doing is a deceit that will be challenged. Everything you are doing is a fraud that will be collapsed. And that's what Minas is doing. To collapse that fraud of that false claim that we submitted our lands and our sovereignty by ourselves to be in union with people who owe it a duty of faith to kill us. as infidel, who believe that all men are not born equal. I'm talking about those who went into Sharia away from the secular union we agreed to be, because that's one of the fundamental things. We agreed to be a federation and a secular union. Otherwise, Ahmadu Bello wanted whatever he wanted Sharia in that north, but the middle belt, which was the minorities of the north of the time, said, look, we are not Muslims, so we can't go into one region with you. Give us our own region. At Willis Commission, what's his name? Joseph Tucker and others from the Middle Belt demanded that the minorities, that's the Middle Belt, be carved out of the northern region of the time. The same time, the Jaw and the others in Eastern region were demanding that they be carved out of Eastern region to be on their own. The Edo Yoruba also canvassing to be the same Willis Commission 2 years before independence. Why did the British not attend to them? They knew what they were doing. Because subsequently you began to see the point at which they had to let the Midwest go, Midwestern region. At the time they had locked Awolowo down, they divided his kingdom. That was the beginning of Midwestern region, 1963. And then when they had slaughtered the Igbo and the Eastern elements, everybody running back to the east, they then decided to grant the ones from the minorities of the east, River State. You can't build anything on such bloody foundation and expect it to thrive. It will always require violence to sustain. There's no decent person that can preside over Nigeria. It was a criminal enterprise from beginning. What was supposed to be union agreement were always in position, avoiding the owners of the lands that were to be consolidated. The British avoided it in 1914. The ones that followed have been avoiding it to this date. That is what Ninas is shattering. That is what Ninas is dismantling. And so we come back to the question of transition. We say that union arrangement, that imposition, we have traced where it was coming from, particularly from 1966 and 67 when they toppled the little discussion we had with all the imperfections of it. There was at least a discussion, there was at least progress, because these four regions were now, owners of their own affairs, and everybody trying to progress as they could. And they did progress. We saw what Emma Obara was doing in the east. We saw what Awolowo did in the west. We saw what Dennis Osadebe did in the Midwest. We saw that Ahmadu Bello had to struggle to do whatever with all the advantages they loaded to him, controlling 55%, so that no matter what you did with that majority in the place of political decision making, representation, it is National Assembly today. It didn't start yesterday that they will control. Look at it. That one region out of 4 and the Federal Capital Territory that was federating, that one region has become 19 states plus the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The other 3 units, the Eastern region, Western region, Midwestern region, and the Lagos Federal Capital Territory, biggest urban center on the sub-region, all of them have been compressed into 17 states. So, do the arithmetic. So you can see we are back to where we were in 1951, where 17% of the country was allotted 55% of the parliamentary seats, so that at every point in time, they had a veto. They could overrule the rest of the country, and the guns were left in their hands. They have carried it forward by this constitutional instrument they imposed. That's how we came about this 68 items of exclusive list. That's how we came about this false claim that we submitted our lands and our people into the union. That's how we came about this lopsided representation. That's how local governments were carved out indiscriminately. We ended up with 7 and 4 local governments. How did it become something that went into constitution? Military fiat. And we are now having to finance those 7 and 4 local government areas. The people that take 72% of everything that comes don't bring one dime. And so it is all these atrocities rolled together. They have that veto in terms of numbers, and they have control of the guns. It doesn't matter that one Tinubu is now posing as commander-in-chief. Ask him where the weapons are kept and how the appointments to the control of that network of weapons are made. Find out whether he's in charge. For he is not. Obasanjo was there 8 years. He could not add or subtract because it is not within the reach of the president to write anything into the constitution. The constitution is something that is beyond the constitution is to the country what the memo and article is to the company, so that you can understand why, you can understand the atrocity, you can understand the treason it is for the National Assembly to be talking about constitution, anything to do with the constitution. Yes, if we have made a constitution, we could delegate the power to amend, subject to the ratification we call referendum. You don't add or subtract from the constitution without going back to the owners of the enterprise, and that is what comes as referendum. So our charge is that the constitution we agreed upon, the federation we agreed upon, have been toppled and taken over by these fellows invaders at the instruction and support of Britain, with the veto they created for them, which they are still maintaining. If one region will now become 19 states, and the others are compressed into 17 states, and that 19 states with the federal capital territory that has its own senator, and look at their budget and all the things Nigeria is pouring into the place, you see that it can average any 3 states what they are pouring into the federal capital territory. And so we are back to 55%. We are back to where they can act alone. We are back to where the guns are still in their hands. We are back to where they are the ones controlling the economic assets of the entire country, still in Sokoto and Kano, and insulting everybody, and even the ones who have to come from your midst, with the INEC, with the Central Electoral Commission, that is controlled exclusively by them. They are the ones who have to process who becomes your governor, even your House of Assembly member in the state, your senator, your rep. It is that INEC that is in the hands of these veto holders. And so look at the kind of people who have been winning elections to go and represent you, to come and govern you. They look for the worst of the worst. With a constitution that already gives them the spec into the treasury and gives them immunity, what can you expect? Tomorrow is June 12th now. A whole number of people will get out somewhere and begin to dance. So Democracy Day. What is the meaning of democracy? Has the meaning of democracy changed for Nigeria? Do you have a democracy? Because democracy defined in 3 legs of government of the people, by the people, for the people. These are 3 compartments. Government of the people means that the people own their sovereignty, meaning that the people make the constitution, which is the ultimate rule in the land. All the other laws are made subject to the constitution, have to draw life, have to flow from what the constitution authorizes. Any law you want to make, there must be something in the constitution that gives it life. And so it is the people that make the constitution. And then that's the second leg, that's government of the people. By the people means that it is by the vote of the people that those who have to wield power get to government house. For the people means that those who wield power in government house must be doing so at the service of the people and under the instructions dictated by the people in the first leg, in the time they make the constitution. It is in the constitution that all those things they put in chapter 2 that they are now made non-justiciable by section 6, so section 6C of the constitution. If we make the constitution, we will not say that it will be at the discretion of those in government house to provide facilities for us. It's because we did not make the constitution that they made it discretionary to themselves. If we made the constitution, we will not give them the spare key to the treasury in section 81, 82, and 122, 121 for the governors. It is because they made it by themselves that they gave themselves the spare key to hold. If we make the constitution, we not give them, blanket immunity in section 308. And so, when you put it all together, you will see that this is a crime enterprise. And then you plot the graph of how the lives of the people had gone. I was talking about the memo and articles to the company. Is it the owners of the company or the management team they hired? Because that's the government is the management team hired by the owners of the enterprise. In the enterprise Nigeria, the owners have already identified them to you. The owners of the lands. Nigeria is all about land. Sokoto, land that goes from Sokoto to Kano, to Maiduguri, back to Port Harcourt, back to Lagos. All the lands is a territory, but it's a political union that is recognized in the international circuit as one country. But the document that should become their ground norm, the document that make them one political union, must be one coming from those who are bringing their lands and their people together to be that political union. It is when they've done all of that that they now appoint a management team through a process we call election. So once in 4 years, they go out there, according to those 3 legs of definition. Nigeria's democracy does not pass any of these 3 legs of democracy. The definition of democracy is not a government of the people, because we never made the constitution. It has never been by the people. From independence to date, nobody had governed Nigeria because people voted for him and he got majority of the vote. Tell me one. None. It has always been by some manipulation. And then you see the people in government that have they ever been there for you? Government of the people, by the people, for the people. People with education will join them tomorrow to celebrate democracy, whereas you don't have democracy. And why don't you have democracy? Because you have not settled the major question. 70% of the question is the constitutional arrangements. That is what settles for you, the citizen, what you will get. Because you have not made any constitution, the people who seized your sovereignty are now dictating everything, and whatever they do is what you get. And so, back to constitution making. The mandate of the National Assembly is for lawmaking. I'm now talking jurisprudence. All the lawyers you see in the land, whether they call themselves senior advocate or they call themselves professors of law, anybody who tells you any other thing, tell him that Tony Nadi say he's illiterate on the subject. Tell him that Nina say he is a criminal. The National Assembly, the mandate of the National Assembly, like that of a management of a company, is to run the company according to the memo and articles of the company. Is it the management you hire that go to write your memo and article or even rewrite it? What happened to us in 1966 was that the management, that's the government, toppled our memo and article and put their names there. Locked us out. We have been in the race since that time. That's why we become the poverty capital of the world. Whereas you see them every month gather to share trillions. Where does that money come from? Where are the owners of the money? Many of them are living in exile overseas. Today alone, I've been on the phone with people across some cities, about 5 different cities, because we have we have a town hall with our diaspora on Saturday, June the 15th. I was asking them in the small groups in which I was addressing them today. Say, all of you have been more than 20 years in the US. Is it by your own will? Is it by your own desire that you are still there? When you were traveling to study or whatever made you travel the first time, did you plan to go to live there for 20 and 30 years? Some of them have been there since the 70s. They are now old people. Some of them tried to come back. They ran back after coming here. Some came in the time the military was still occupying the place. They are in exile now, chased out of their country. What is chasing them out of that country? For a country that sells 3 million barrels of crude oil every day, for a country that has this humongous wealth, to become the poverty capital of the world, and you find people, politicians, who come around to say, oh, if only I can get there to government house. Characters like Peter Obi, let anybody who sees fit to be in all this stupid movement to say he go to election in 2027 under the 1999 constitution, ask him, under which constitution are you going to perform this miracle? Have we agreed to be in union? Which Nigeria do you want to come and govern? There's a dispute. The people you call Nigerians are all up in arms. There are flags flying all over the place. Yoruba is flying the Odua flag. In the eastern side is Biafra. Everybody is fed up with the stupid union. It's not working for anybody except the criminals that subscribe to this fraud of 1999. The political parties, PDP, APC, Labour Party, all of them, their candidates, they subscribe to this evil. They don't care about the people. If they care about the people, they will have to come down from the high horse to discuss the terms of the constitution that took life from their people. Of course, we have made it very clear to them that the last election that will be tolerated has already happened. The one of 2023 is still in controversy because the constitution that were tolerating for the sake of peace was now abandoned by the Supreme Court. And so, we are saying that, I'm sure some of us heard about Akin Fakwaunda and the draft bill he wrote. We have defeated that constitution. The force majeure has defeated that constitution. They are now running helter-skelter. Benjamin Kalu, the speaker or whatever, deputy speaker, I can't remember what he says he's doing for them there. The one that said they're going to write another constitution in 24 months. Immediately we spoke, they ran back from that position. Say, oh, we now go back to amending what? Where's the constitution you want to amend? So Nigeria is hanging in the balance right now. There's no basis of union. And the owners of the sovereignties are being Ninas. When in all the 20 years before we declared the dispute in 2020, it was because we were organizing the owners of the sovereignties in the formations in which they can take back their sovereignty. Whether they now go to another meeting to refederate, that's a different business. Or they choose to go by their own into their own destiny by themselves. It will be a decision of their people by referendum. And to let those who are in Abuja know, let them hear it very clearly, no meeting is required with any one of them for the owners of Ijaw land to take back their land, for the owners of Yoruba land to take back their land. And they are not going to be able to get anybody to go and start shooting at anybody because the country is covered. Even the Hausa that happen to be in that Sharia territory, the Fulani imposed themselves on them, presented themselves as the Hausa Fulani. There's no Hausa Fulani anywhere. The Fulani conquered the Hausa by deceit and brigandage, and then began to govern them, suppress them to the point of no voice. Now, with what we are doing, the backbone of that monster has been broken, and the Hausa will take back their land, every inch of it. If they are going to accommodate anybody, it will be by their agreement, by discussions, clear-eyed, clear-minded discussions they are going to have. And so, the question of who can make concession, the National Assembly is holding hands with this enemy that locked us down. Because of the humongous sums of money they get, that's their reason for subscribing to the constitution that kill their constituents, for subscribing to a constitution that impoverish their constituents. And so, we have come to where that matter must be settled. We have endured it for 25 years from 1999. We have endured it for all the way back to 1979, all the way back to 1967 when they were pointing guns at everybody. The cause of 66 that did that pointing of gun, where are they now? Are they not all being ransacked in their various communities? Where's Governor and his people? Where's Danjuma and his people? Where's Obasanjo and his people? That Fulani is ravaging all over the place, still controlling the economic assets. Look at what they took from everybody and gave to Dangote. Remove concessions, federal government concessions, from everything Dangote controls, and see what is left. Half of Lagos Port was concession to him. He doesn't deal with customs. Vessels will sail from everywhere, bet in front of his warehouse at the port. How are you going to be able to compete with him? Any business he will do, they will have to destroy other people in that business to create monopoly for him. Go and look at sugar, go and look at that salt, go and look at everything he has ever done. Look at refineries now. You lock down the capacity to refine with the constitution on exclusive list. Only the federal government can license people to do so. Then you seize the oil and gas of Eastern Nigeria and hand it over to this Fulani man, and give him the monopoly of license to go and do refinery as if nobody else knows what to do about refinery. What is there in refinery? Is it not to crack, to heat and to crack and extract at various temperatures? That insult must come to an end. That project is not our project. It is their project. The owners of the land are not interested in whatever nonsense they are advertising. And you saw the one that calls himself Ababio. You saw him in that shameful project, praising it. Those are the kind of lunatics that they gather and put in government over everybody else. These discussions will now be had. What Akinfakpowanda did, having come to take from us, and now we hear that he's going to be submitted to the people who sponsored him to do that. That Tinubu will have to now take it from him. It will go as executive bill to that National Assembly. They have collapsed. They have exhausted every plan, every option that they could contrive. None is working, because what we have is deeper than what they have, is deeper than what the British could get them to have, is deeper than what any consultant or Lisabokoba and fellow dumbheads like him, Jose Comes, that cannot tell them that it is not in the place of National Assembly to make constitution. Lisabokoba was actually guiding them on how to remove the schedule to decree number 24, which is what we have, and to write another booklet and put there, because in his poor understanding of what constitution is, he thinks it's just another to write another booklet. It's not about writing a new constitution. It is about negotiating new constitutional arrangements. And if you want to know the details of what has to happen, go back to that preamble, identify who the people are, identify what the process of negotiation and discussion will be, so that they can firmly and solemnly agree. That's the second thing. Then the third thing, after you have done the first two, you then get the experts to come and codify right down for them what they've agreed. That's the only thing that can become constitution. If you start the transaction by going to write a document in the manner that the fellow called Akinfakpowanda, who says it's not a law, how can somebody, if not that Nigeria is a mad country, why would somebody who doesn't have any knowledge of what is required be the one to champion the wrong thing, and people are gathered around it, and the media is reporting it gleefully? You can write a constitution for which country? For which country are you writing that constitution? The National Assembly. For which country? For which people? If we do not dismount from our high houses of stupidity, this matter will resolve itself in the most disorderly way. For the Labour Congress people that are asking for 100 and 200,000 naira, if you do not want to join this discussion, to raise the question about how your life became what it has become, for a naira that began its journey at $4 to 1 naira, to now come to where it is, and they are holding you to some salary that doesn't that cannot feed their dogs in 1 week. Some of them, what their dogs take in 1 day is more than that. But that's what they're offering you. They go home with 50 million, but they can't pay you 100, 200,000, and you are still there discussing with them, because you don't want to address the source of the problem. You want to go and get the paltry increment they can throw at you. How many people are on their payroll in a country of 220 million people? You go and get that small addition, and you think you have done so great. Then everything will calm down. Market people are already, market forces, when you hear about market forces, I'm sure you've been reading that theory before. Market forces. Market forces are waiting for that salary to come. They have already increased their in case you didn't know who market forces were. Those people who you have to pay in Osho the market. Those people who you have to pay in the market to carry the tomato. They are the market forces on this occasion. They They're waiting for you, and the salary you're going to extract for yourself. Leaving the rest of the populace to their fate. Nobody other than the owners of the lands that will federate can go to make constitution. It is their exclusive business. If you doubt me, go to section 14.2a of the 1999 Constitution, as disputed as it is. It says sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. You had it in the synopsis. When you take that side by side with these three false claims in the preamble, you will see that they were trying to pretend that the owners of the sovereignties have suddenly resolved to live together and therefore made this constitution to themselves. Falsehood. Why do I say it's false? Go to decree number 24, which they printed in error in the document, in the constitution. It tells the story of how they formed a committee that went to Biapalo and say everybody wants to return to what Mohammed commissioned in 1975. Lie upon lie upon lie, and we're building on that foundation of falsehood, and we think we have a country that will become great. Shame on all of those who ought to be educating others on this, but who are by themselves, now building on that, rickety foundation that is bound to collapse on them. But we're not going to wait for them to get it to the point where the house will fall on everybody. If people want to know what will happen, let them go to that constitutional force majeure proclamation, where we said that if after all we're going to do to get everybody to reason, they refuse, that we will reconsider our allegiance to that disputed constitution. We're already at that point now. That's why they're carrying constitution up and down, trying to write something and smuggle. It's not going to work. If the one that they put in and sustained by Brigadier for 25 years is not working, what was our reason for rejecting it? Because the owners of the sovereignty were excluded. And it's not anybody you find. It must be their decision in 2 stages. They must sit down in their various lands to agree to be in union with others. They now go to the second layer of the meeting according to our 5-point proposition. I think those who want to understand can understand. But those who think they have become stronger than all of us and can beat us down, they can continue their gamble. We owe them no meeting. Our designs are adequate. They are encircled. They have only 2 options: to surrender unconditionally to this plan that still accommodates them in transition, because we have not asked them to leave government house. But if they won't take that while the offer lasts, those whose lives they've ruined, whether they are in Nigeria or they've fled, those who have been left with no option than to fight back, are going to do it their own way. So they either come down to this suggestion, to this proposition in peace, surrender unconditionally, there's nothing to discuss with them, or they will be defeated comprehensively. They're already encircled. There's no way any one of them is running to. They're already encircled by the mass poverty they have created. We'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that detailed explanation. Question and comments? Kindly raise your hand or tap your mic twice, and you'll be asked to make your comments or ask your question.
Please, I do have.
Allow me to finish.
I have a comment to make, if that's okay.
Yes, hold on. Let me finish first, then I'll call you to make your comment, please. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Some people will be wondering, why is it, with all that's going on in Nigeria, the world's press isn't reporting it? Is it that they don't know? They actually do know, but Black life doesn't matter. It matters to us, but it doesn't matter to the world. And so it is for us to save ourselves. We've got a strategy, we've got a plan that will work. Because I get a newsletter from Truth Nigeria, and they send me emails alerting me that, let's say, in a day or two, Fulani are going to attack certain villages in the Middle Belt. And sure enough, it happens. I don't know if you remember last year around Christmas, they attacked some places in the Middle Belt. I had the warning through the email through this Truth Nigeria. Why is it that the world is not reporting that, but they're reporting Ukraine, they're reporting what's happening in Israel? So we really need to look to ourselves. We've got a plan that will work. And at the start, the NEMA spokesman was talking about the oil and gas of Niger Delta. In today's Tribune, there was an article, and I copied the topic. It was called Community Youths Issue 7-Day Ultimatum to Oil Companies in Imo. And it was youths in Imo State in an area called Ohaji Ewema Council Area of Imo State. And there's abandoned roads, so several communities are cut off. They can't go to the farm, they can't do anything. Meanwhile, what I read in that article was that they have a large quantity of their gas is going to outside in the world, because you know that they're trying to take the gas of Igbo nation to go to Europe, to give Europe electricity. Meanwhile, we here don't have any. And it said that they had the largest reservoirs of oil and gas as recorded by NNPC. So this is African resources being lost to Africans. And the NEMA spokesman was talking about various Nigerians who are now dossing it around in America, in England, etc. Meanwhile, our riches are going. And it's that 1999 constitution that ties us down. Like, you know, if you want to rob somebody, it's easiest when you tie them up. And then now you can steal what's in their house. That is what this 1999 constitution is doing. And then the last thing I'll say is there's a man, his name is Senator Abaribe, and they're now talking about giving the Fulani some land for them to farm their cattle. Meanwhile, we have our own traditional cattle, the African shorthorn Muturu cattle, or Efibo, if you speak Igbo. That one, nobody's talking about that one, nobody gives a damn. And that one is the one that was here, that our forefathers would have known even from centuries BC, from the Middle Belt all the way down to the south, all across West Africa. Anyway, so what Abaribe say, you know, he's making out that it's not a genocide going on, and, you know, he's downplaying it. And the reason I'm using Abaribe, he's not the only one, but these are willing tools. They know exactly what's going on. They know that the 1999 constitution is what puts guns in the hands of the Fulani, and we need to stop, you know, acting like babies and just following somebody because he's got a title, senator or House of Reps. You know, we've got to be able to use our brains and realize that these people are our enemies and separate ourselves from them and take down this 1999 constitution that gives them loads of money, that they have Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis and all sorts of stuff, and their wives and children are living in England and in America, and we are here suffering. And the last thing I'll now really say is, when the Fulani, like when Arufai was the governor of Kaduna, in that part of Kaduna that they were killing the indigenous people, it has a high grade of nickel. Australian company found that out about 3 or 4 years ago. And so they were killing off the people, putting the survivors in IDP camps so that they can take the nickel. So this is about robbing black people. And if we think that that this is not serious, look at Australia, look at America, look at Canada. What happened to the indigenous people? They're not Europeans. And now you've got Europeans in Texas enjoying the oil that they've stolen from the natives. Look at Australia. What are white people doing in Australia? They should all be in Europe. Why are they stealing all the stuff in Australia? Look at Canada. Canada's got aluminium and all sorts of things. That belongs to Native Americans or Native Canadians. Why is it it's Europeans that are benefiting? Their history is what will be our history if we don't take down this 1999 constitution. I yield the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ndidi, for that contribution. Alhaji Jean, please, you have the floor for your comment or question. Alhaji Tajuddin, please, you have the floor for your comment or question. Okay, Mr. Ajibade, please you have the floor now. Mr. Ajibade, please make your comment or ask your question. Unmute your mic, we can't hear you. Mr. Ajibade, yes, you have the floor, please.
Yeah, so my question is there a roadmap for
Can you speak up? Can you speak out? We can't hear you, Mr. Ajibade.
Can you hear me now?
You're sounding faint. Okay, please kindly leave the room and come back. I think you have to leave and come back.
Am I connected now?
Alhaji Tajudeen, please hold on. Mute your mic, Alhaji Tajudeen. Okay, Alhaji Tajudeen.
Yeah.
Speak. Yes, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I needed to commend our spokesperson, but to call one issue again to his attention. One, there is another conversation in the Senate about 10-year restriction being taken to 6 years, just for noting. Then for this Fakoda man in 2009, it's just an additional information to buttress the kind of people that can move to the corridors of power to do whatever they like. Because the madness that the 1999 Constitution has given them makes them even lose their status. This same Fakoda, when I was chairman publicity and events and corporate service for Nigeria Computer Society, Fakoda was trying to float one microfinance bank. That thing collapsed, ended. I don't know how it suddenly resurfaced just to about 3 weeks now. Well, I think I just needed to add this to what the spokesperson have said, but the choice for Nigerians to take doesn't have any substitute anywhere other than the way of Ninas. So that if they can prevent solving the problem on the streets of Nigeria, hey, it becomes a regret for them. I yield the mic.
Thank you, Alhaji, for that contribution. Mr. Ajibade, please, you have the floor for your question or comments. Unmute your mic, Mr. Ajibade. Thank you. You have the floor. Any more comments or question? Any more comments or question? In the absence of any comment, okay, Mr. Ajibade, unmute your mic. You have the floor. Mr. Ajibade, please unmute your mic. We can't hear you if you're speaking. Mr. Ajibade.
Looks like he's having network issues.
Okay.
So this is my question. So is there, let's say, limits and stage of how some of us will be achieved? But basically, I see it, yes, we can do a lot of talking on things that we want to become reality. But as far as technical plans and critical strategies that will be followed to achieve this, I think the whole essence of this is not vital, personally. So I would love to know, is there steps that you guys have on ground that you suggest for us that we can take that will definitely take the promised land?
Yes, very much so.
Your question, did you want to take that? Or I just...
Yes. I can take it, and then if Tony wants to, he can add. Yes, there are different things that we can do. Different people are doing different things. And we need to build up to a critical mass. So at the moment, it's raising awareness. So you use social media, you use, mass, personal to personal. Whatever people do when you're doing a campaign, like when you're doing a political campaign, whether you're supporting Peter Obi or Tinubu or Atiku, you're telling people, come on, let's vote for so-and-so. That is what you're supposed to be doing right now. We're all supposed to be telling people, hey, look, shut down preparation to elections 2027, because that's going to worsen everything for us. But instead, we should tell political parties to close shop now, and we should go to transitioning for constitutional renegotiation. And that since there's now a consensus that the 1999 Constitution is a forgery, when you have something that's a forgery, it means you don't have that thing. So it means that we have no union. So we should be telling people about the No Nigeria Union reality. So use your social media, Nairaland, Twitter, TikTok, what's the other one? Facebook, Instagram. do Zoom meetings, come to Clubhouses, things like that. I yield the mic.
No, my understanding of Ajibade's question, and Ajibade, please, you correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding of Ajibade's question is whether Ninas has a plan beyond the social media talk. My answer to him, my answer to that question is that not only is there a plan, there is a clear-cut plan that is in writing, that have been in the public space for 20 years, and that was put in a formal, setting by the constitutional force majeure of December 16, 2020, spelling out step by step what exactly has to be done. And those who are doing this work, they had gone physically to build the consensus that had to be built, create the alliances that had to be created. People went to Ijoland, Ogoniland, Efik, Anang, throughout the Igbo, to get the ones in eastern half of southern Nigeria into discussions that have maps and charters, a charter of relationship that is in process already, so that everybody identifies his land and sits down with his neighbor who has identified his land. All of those things happened between 2003, 2009. We went to the Yoruba side, sat down with everybody who needed to know, from Akure to Owo. Go and find out from Ayo Adebanjo, find out from Wole Soyinka, find out from everybody who had ever spoken on behalf of the Yoruba. Find out from Gani Adams. So there are people who have, we just lost somebody not long ago who was involved in most of this, across these many years. Human beings gathering in large numbers and doing things. We carried it overseas to go to challenge those who are telling other stories about Nigeria. We went as far as the UN Security Council. You saw us on the streets of New York in 2021. Ajibade, did you not see when Ninas was on the streets at the UN headquarters in September 2021, that Buhari had to go to rent Jamaicans and others to come and pretend to be Nigerians? Are those things social media talk? So you need to dress back, look at the information on what is on the table. What is it we have proposed? What have we done? What are we asking people to do? Our activities don't begin and end on social media. All the groups that had arms in Nigeria, from Niger Delta to the Yoruba side to the Middle Belt, including sitting governors, Autumn sat down and listened to what he was asked to do, and he did it, and created that armed security service you saw. All a part of what we had to do countrywide. What is left now is for people to dress back from whatever they were thinking before and examine what we have. There were solemn assemblies. You saw are you not aware that there was a gathering in Ibadan Stadium, in Adama Sigba Stadium in 2017, in which the Yoruba rejected this constitution as basis of union, solemn assembly? Before then, there was one in Port Harcourt, where the Ijo, the Anang, the Efik, the Igbo, the Ogoni, all of them from Benin all the way to Oron, gathered in Port Harcourt. The video is still there on YouTube for you to go and see the leaders of all the agitators under one roof. So when we talk like this, as if we just we're just on social media. And let me add something to what shared with us. Before we begin to ask the global media what they are reporting, where is our own media? Why is Arise TV not on this discussion? Why is AIT not on this discussion? Why the Channel TV not on this discussion? Why are we not on the front pages of Punch newspaper, This Day newspaper, and all of them in a matter as serious as this? But they are very quick to report, who is proposing a bill to go and commit all kinds of nonsense that fill out the media space. Are you suggesting they do not know we are there? Let us take responsibility and take charge and go to do what we need to do to recover this land and begin to dictate what will happen here. If we continue to point at what people have done in other places without taking charge, they are coming here. The Fulani will behead all of those who do not take their portion from what we have done. The instrument by which the Fulani have been owning and controlling the lands is what was defeated. If people do not want to pay attention and get to know what is happening and stand up and do the part, the little part that is just about 5% left to be done, it will be entirely their choice. And we know what the outcome will be. What we are doing will not be delayed by even one day. What the outcome we seek will not be delayed by even one day on account of the non-participation or the ignorance of any number of people. The only thing that will change is the quantum of collateral damage. All of those who do not know that things are going on will wake up in the midst of the commotion imposed on them by their own chosen ignorance on this matter. That will be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that. Any more comments or contributions? In the absence of any further question or comment, please, Justina, you have the floor for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I want to say a very big thank you to our spokesperson. Thank you so much for your sagacity, sir. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you so much. I don't know how to appreciate you. I can find the right adjective to describe your faithfulness to this cause. Tonight, our topic, our take home from our topic is that Nigeria is not our project, and sovereignty belongs to the people, and constitution making is the sole reserve of the people and not any National Assembly. I tell you, tonight is another expose, another eye-opening section. We're getting educated, we're getting liberated by this knowledge. Being a part of NINAS, it has made us to know why Nigeria is the way it is. This is a long-term bondage we're going through from 1914 till date. And we're brought to the note tonight that constitution making is for the people. The National Assembly just have mandates to make laws. It's a pitiable situation that hired managers have become the owners of the company they are meant to manage. They are the ones that are now writing the memorandum of association. It's a big pity. But I just rejoice in my spirit. I don't know how our lives would have been without this NINAS. Because it is the activities of NINAS that is making these willing tools to wobble. You go all over the internet, you see them running around even for the constitution and trying to have colloquiums and all that. If there was nobody like this, I tell you, it would have been a free sail to El Dorado. Maybe they would have rounded up us, everybody up by now, and wouldn't be talking again. All these ones that are crying all over that people are not able to farm in the middle belt and all that would have been just a thing of the past. And so tonight I rejoice in my spirit that in the midst of all, Nigerian government is not able to contain everybody, that we have a man that is not containable. Else, I don't know, Nigeria would have ceased to exist. Maybe they would have taken it and made it Fulani Republic as they wanted to. And so I yield the mic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that closing remark. Thank you very much. Please, Mr. Nadi, do you have any additional comments? Do you?
No, thank you. No, I don't think so. I will only request those who have come to join us only recently to please make out the time to go to our website or YouTube channel. YouTube channel, just a Nina's Voice. More than 405 broadcasts. Any random three can open a new window of understanding to what is going on. because it is happening even where you are. It doesn't matter the part of the country or the part of the world where you are. Across the next 20 days, in fact, across the next 1 week, we will already have been addressing people in at least 3 continents. Nigerians who are frantically, working hard to see that they recover the land they can return to. And so, if people who have education are in that space, not looking in the direction of that information that is really, diplomats are going there. Their countries are acting on it. The organs of the major agencies that have to decide what will happen are taking information from there. So the people who live in that danger, if they are not looking because they are busy chasing around some politician that may come to contest or win election tomorrow, it will be their choice. The information is there, and we've done everything anybody can do to place it, very easily available, just at the click of on your phone. You are there already. And so if you are not looking at it, of course, everybody is welcome to their choice. Thank you. That's why I will drop it.
Okay, Alhaji Tajudeen, do you have any more contributions? I saw that you raised your hands up. Alhaji Tajudeen. Okay, Josina, please, you have the floor for.
Sorry, I think I'm on now. Okay,
just make it very brief, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Yes. As a rider to previous contribution to the questioner in respect of what to do or is what Nina's doing is restricted to social media, I will say that one of the major things we could do is town hall meeting. We can organize it, but don't organize it in isolation. Get in touch with the secretariat, notify the secretariat. For instance, we are talking with another group. They called, well, it's another group, but I've connected the conversation with our spokesperson. So these are things we could be doing to help the cause of Ninas. And I think people are afraid to come together at the town hall meeting, but I can bet whoever that chooses to be courageous enough to chest out for a town hall meeting, that nobody, no agency of the present people who think they are in government, none of their agents will ever come near you. Just make sure you link up with the secretariat. This is the addition I think I needed to make. And to conclude, therefore, that Fakonda is like Victor Taiwo, spineless people that are looking for means of survival. They call themselves first class. They are indebted already. So we should be alert and follow what we say in the Ninas. I hear them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that contribution. Please, Justin, I have the floor for announcement.
I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for coming for tonight's eye-opening section. These are the announcements of our activities through the week. For us to work effectively and efficiently, we'll be having the joint Clubhouse sections together at 7 p.m. Nigerian time on Tuesdays like this. And on Saturdays, we'll be having the Doors of Truth on Facebook and YouTube at 5:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Please, we are all encouraged in the immediate task of massively disseminating Nina's project materials to all our people. We are to sensitize our people via the Nina's website, www.ninasvoice.org, and on YouTube, Nina's Voice on YouTube, where we have over 400 videos, and we are to admonish them to watch and share. For further information, you can call the Nina Secretariat on 0912 993 155. The second number is 090 647 20016. At the count of 5, this clubhouse will be shut down. The countdown begins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Goodbye and God bless you.